Going into the NFL draft that's coming up later this week, Thursday, the New York Giants are in a little bit of a predicament. Do they draft best available or they go ahead and draft for need? Now, I'm going to give you an answer. Now, you tell me what you think. If you go on Facebook, what should the Giants do with their 2 first-round picks? Should they draft a quarterback or best available? So they have 2 picks, 6th overall and 17th overall. And I'm going to give you a GM answer. Whoever is left on that board that has the highest grade, they're not in a position to go ahead and reach for players of need. They're in a position where they need to add talent in a lot of it. Now, the good news for them is they go ahead, they signed Golden Tate, they go ahead and they re-signed or extended Sterling Shepard. They still have Evan Ingram. They still have Saquon Barkley. So that offense is looking good. And that offensive line started coming together a little bit last year. Not completely, but started coming a little bit better once they released their right tackle last year. Now, what I think they should do, I think they should grab the best available at 16 or at 6 overall. And if you look at this draft, you have the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Jets, the Raiders, and the Buccaneers all ahead of the Giants. So what that screams to me is that one of these defensive players, one of these elite defensive players, is more likely than not going to fall to the Giants. And by one of these, I'm talking about Nick Bosa of Ohio State. I'm talking Quinnen Williams of Alabama, Josh Allen of Kentucky, or linebacker Devin White of LSU. When was the last time that the Giants had a dominant linebacker? Now, I know they've had dominant pass rushers, but a dominant linebacker. Devin White is a guy that can rush the passer, and he's great in coverage. And that's something that the Giants have been lacking for many years. They go ahead and they bring in these linebackers that, while they play good, they're good players, they're grinded out players that are fringe starters and probably are better coming off the bench in a more reduced role. So I think, if Devin White falls to him at 6, that's my pick right there. Unless one of the other 3, Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, or Josh Allen falls. If Josh Allen falls there and you're between Josh Allen and Devin White, hand in hand, you cannot go wrong right there. I'm taking Josh Allen and then Devin White. So if Devin White falls and those 3 ahead of him are gone, and you're looking at Devin White or you're looking at Dwayne Haskins, if Dwayne Haskins in the Giants draft room, if he's on their board and he's got a higher score than Devin White on their roster, on their whiteboard, then you go ahead and you take Dwayne Haskins, because at that point you're not reaching. But if you think you can get Dwayne Haskins at 17, or if you think that the quarterbacks fall off and that there's not that much of a difference between the top 4 quarterbacks, you take a look at these top 4 quarterbacks. You have Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins. To me, 1A. Now, there's difference between Kyler Murray because he's more dynamic, because he can run and escape the pocket. And then you have Dwayne Haskins, more of a pocket passer, which the Giants already have in Eli Manning, in that they've been known to draft. So those are your top 2 quarterbacks. But after that, between 2 and 6, or 3 and 6, there's not that much of a fall off between Drew Lock, Ryan Finley, Jarrett Stidham, and Daniel Jones. So if you think to go ahead and you want to draft best available, like I said, the last time the Giants had a very, very, very good linebacker, I can't even remember the last time that they had a good linebacker. So if they want to go ahead and get Devin White of LSU, that's going to change a defense. That's going to have the impact that the Colts had when they drafted the Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Speaking of the Colts, another underrated move that this Giants team could do, in my personal opinion, what I think the Giants should do, and it doesn't have to be at 6th overall. It could be at 17th overall. Or they can go ahead and they take that 17th overall pick and take one of their other picks. If they want to take their 4th rounder, since they have 2 of them, if they want to take their 4th round pick and pair it with the 17th and move up in the draft, I think they go ahead and they get an offensive tackle. Because if you look at this draft, it's not very deep when it comes to offensive tackles. And Chad Wheeler on the right side, on that right tackle side, he did an admirable job once they released Eric Flowers. But he's not talented enough, and he's never going to be talented enough. So what comes to mind is there's 3 offensive tackles, and then there's everybody else. 3 offensive tackles for the Giants. So if I'm the New York Giants, and you take a look at what Quentin Nelson did with the Colts last year, how he changed that whole offensive line. If I'm the Giants, I'm going to take a 4th round pick and the 17th overall pick and go ahead and trade up and get one of these offensive tackles, because there's 3 offensive tackles that can make that same impact that Quentin Nelson did for the Colts last year. And those 3 guys, Jawaan Taylor of Florida, then you have Jonah Williams of Alabama, and an underrated guy, Andre Dillard of Washington State. So if you're looking for more of a statue kind of guy, Jonah Williams is your guy. He's 6'5", 302 pounds. He's not going to move a lot. He's going to stand there. He's a good pass blocker and a good run blocker. But if you want a guy that's going to get out ahead, if you want a Jason Kelce that's going to block at the 1st level and then get out and run and block for Saquon Barkley in the 2nd level, I'm sitting here thinking Andre Dillard. And you might be able to get Andre Dillard at 17th overall. You might not have to trade that 4th round pick. But when you have 12 picks, which is tied for most with the Patriots in this year's draft, go ahead. Go ahead and move up. Go ahead and get your offensive tackle. That's going to make that much of a difference. Like I said, the Colts drafted Quentin Nelson last year, and he completely changed that offensive line and helped out Andrew Luck that much. Now, do I think Eli Manning has a lot left in the tank? Oh, no. But do I think Eli Manning, if you didn't want to take a quarterback this year, could get you another year, possibly 2? Definitely. He definitely has enough in the tank, especially if you go ahead and you get an Andre Dillard, because the offensive pieces are there. You are 1 tackle and 1 quarterback away from having an elite offense. So if you go ahead, you get Andre Dillard, and you can't go wrong with any of the other 2. But I just think Jawaan Taylor is going to be too high up. You're going to have to take him with that 6th overall pick. And I think when it comes down to that 6th overall pick, the Giants have to go defense, and they have to get a leader. If they go ahead and get Devin White of LSU, that's going to be a leader. That's going to be a great linebacker for the Giants for years to come. Then you're looking at that 17th overall pick. Jonah Williams and Andre Dillard are going to be there. They're going to be there. And those 2 can make a difference, especially Andre Dillard. So I think the Giants, if they really want to go all in on the offensive side, mind you, they have 12 picks this year. If they want to use 1 pick on an offensive tackle, it's got to be Andre Dillard, because this is the guy that's going to make a difference for your offensive line. This is going to be the Quentin Nelson for the Colts, for the Giants. The Giants, if you want to make a difference, if you want that offensive line to be what it can be, and remember, last year it started coming together. That left side looked good between Will Hernandez and the guy they brought in free agency from the Patriots last year. But if you want to solidify that whole offense, go ahead and get an Andre Dillard, because there's 3 good offensive linemen in this draft, and then it really just falls off after that. So what I think the Giants should do, and go ahead, join Facebook at For the Love of Sports or at Fox Sports 980. Tell me what you think the Giants should do with the 6th overall pick and the 17th overall pick. Or if you want to call in, 518-690-0980. That's 518-690-0980. What do you think the Giants should do with the 6th and the 17th overall pick? Because as far as I'm concerned, if the draft falls this way, I'm taking Devin White 6th overall, linebacker out of LSU, and he's going to be that leader of that defense right there. Then you go ahead and you get Andre Dillard at 17 overall, or even Jonah Williams. Those are two guys that are going to completely change the complex of this offensive line. And they're going to give Eli Manning more time. Because what have you constantly been hearing from Dave Gettleman, Pat Shurmur, and even Giants fans? That, oh, if Eli Manning had more time, he'd be a lot better than what he was. Because if you look at the stats say Eli Manning had one of the best years of his career. If you use your eyes are going to tell you otherwise. So you go ahead, you get this offensive tackle. Because Eli can hold off for another year or two. And they're definitely going to win a lot more games. So speaking of the Giants, Dave Gettleman coming out saying the same thing that I'm saying. You draft best available, not necessarily for need. So at 6th overall, you take the best available. And if one of the best players available is Devin White or Josh Allen of Kentucky, you take them. But also another person that came out and had something to say was Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley came out and stuck behind his quarterback, Eli Manning, saying all this trash talk of Eli Manning is unneeded because we wholly support Eli Manning and he has a lot left in the tank and can lead this team to a playoff. So just notice the difference after they traded Odell Beckham. They are now creating a different atmosphere, a different locker room. Eli Manning doesn't have to worry about a diva wide receiver coming out and sitting there saying, well, he can't throw the deep ball. That's why I'm not producing at the level I should be. What a difference one player makes. Now, if I'm a different team and they were going to trade Odell Beckham to me, I would totally take him. But in that Giants locker room where Eli Manning is not that vocal, it was necessary for them to get rid of Odell Beckham. And just look at the difference that it's made already with Saquon Barkley kind of taking that leadership role, coming out saying, listen, we trust in Eli Manning and we stand behind him wholly and all the way for next year. So just that difference. And if they go ahead, they bring in a Devin White and an Andre Dillard with their top 2 picks. This is going to be a different team. If they go ahead and bring in offensive tackle, one of the 3 elite offensive tackles in this draft, expect for this Giants team, even with a withering and wiltering Eli Manning, to still do better offensively than they did last year. Because now you're not worried about throwing the ball 150 times to a number 1 wide receiver. You can spread the ball out with Golden Tate and Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley. So expect for this team to be a lot better after this draft, depending on what they do. And I'm telling you right now, if you're a Giants fan, listen to me. You're going to want Devin White or Josh Allen with that 6th pick, unless the Giants rank a quarterback that high. If Dwayne Haskins is ranked above one of these 2 players that fall to the Giants at 6, you take Dwayne Haskins, because in the end of the day, it's a quarterback-driven league.